If you're a Salesforce professional who is feeling stressed and overwhelmed about Salesforce projects that are out of control and a career that's going nowhere, well, in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can reclaim control of your Salesforce projects and your career without getting more Salesforce certifications or badges. But first, I'll give you a little bit of contextual background about my own story and how I am intimately familiar with the pain that you are experiencing today. So, as many of you know, I started my professional career by going to law school. I pursued a career in the legal industry with the same understanding that many people have within the Salesforce industry, which is, hey, go to law school, get a law degree, take the bar exam, get admitted to the bar, and boom, I'll have a career that allows me to earn enough money to support myself and my family, and I will be able to help people by solving problems for them using the legal system as my toolkit. So I went to law school and I passed the bar exam and I became a practicing attorney. I was actually practicing law in personal injury and contracts and landlord-tenant family law, including even personal bankruptcy and foreclosure defense, which means that I myself represented people standing in front of a judge arguing against major banks. We're talking about companies like Wells Fargo, Discover, MasterCard, helping to eliminate debt for my clients that they were simply unable to pay, help to stay in their homes for as long as possible in the foreclosure process, or perhaps working something out to avoid foreclosure altogether, where I was able to use my problem solving skills, my negotiation skills, my communication skills in order to benefit my clients and to solve problems for my clients within the legal system. And I also pursued a career that pivoted from the legal industry into the world of IT and technology and project management, where I started working for NBC, which later became NBC Universal. And I was managing some very large scale global projects that cut across all of NBC and later NBC Universal for quite a few years. And after doing that for a couple of years, I went over to GE Capital. That's where I first learned what a CRM was and what Salesforce was. And I was part of a very small team that was responsible for the rollout and support of Salesforce across all of the various sub-businesses of GE Capital, which included about 2,000 users and approximately 10 different sub-businesses. And then I started my own Salesforce consulting business called Brainiate. So you would think, with all of this expertise, with all of this history behind me, with all of these success stories and best practices, that this would be a total slam dunk, right? Well, guess what? What I discovered is that business users still wouldn't listen to what I had to say. Business leaders could not care less about the advice and the best practices that I had to share with them. Nobody cared about my expertise. No one wanted to hear about these best practices. Every answer to everything was, yeah, we hear you, but we're different. We're special. Oh, hey, yeah, you sure are different. And you are quite special at your company. But that was a common response in many Salesforce admins. Hear the same thing over and over again. They wanted to do things their way, not the right way. And how many times do we as Salesforce admins experience someone emailing us a spreadsheet and they say, listen, just import that spreadsheet into Salesforce and we'll clean it up later. And we all know later doesn't happen. And how many times do we see people who will turn to us and say, can you just set up Salesforce like it was at my prior job? As you can imagine, I was frustrated. I didn't understand, why weren't they listening to me? Why didn't they care about any of my certifications? I was annoyed. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm a ranger on Trailhead. You should be listening to me. And I even have all of these certifications, and I even have the darn hoodie to prove it. It says Trailblazer on it. No one cared until I figured out this hack. And this is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And I learned this hack from Salesforce AEs. And for those of you who have seen Salesforce AEs at work, at least the good ones, they are able to take any particular phrase or word that the business leader talks about and somehow convince them before they blink their eye, somehow convince them to purchase an entirely different product that they themselves don't even know what they purchased. And I kept wondering, like, how on earth do they do that? So I learned what I'm about to share with you from Salesforce account executives, and I figured out how to apply it to any Salesforce project. So you might be wondering, what on earth is this hack? It's actually incredibly simple. Are you ready for it? All you have to do is reframe every single request, every project, every enhancement idea that someone comes up with, every customization that comes your way, every discussion, reframe it around a business process, regardless of any pushback that you get from the business users who are asking you for a custom button, a custom page layout, a custom anything. Always reframe it around a business process. And now you might be wondering, that seems really easy, but how on earth do you actually implement it? So let me tell you, if you're a Salesforce admin and you are feeling overwhelmed, burnt out, invisible, undervalued, I am here to tell you that it is not your fault. If you thought that you just can't succeed until you've earned more Salesforce certifications or you've earned more Trailhead badges, I'm going to put those fears to rest. You just need the right person to explain it to you. Salesforce wants to convince you that you need more Trailhead badges and more certifications in order to succeed. And I'm telling you that that's not accurate. Salesforce has their own reasons to encourage you to get more Trailhead badges and more certifications, but it has nothing to do with your success. So I'm going to ask you, have any of your Salesforce certifications actually helped you manage your own workload? Has it resulted in you working fewer hours? Has it kept your Salesforce projects in budget and on time? Has it convinced your colleagues to listen to you? Has it convinced team members to abandon their spreadsheets and use Salesforce exclusively? Has it helped you get clear business requirements from your team? Has it helped you eliminate the clutter in your Salesforce? Has it even persuaded your sales team to keep their own Salesforce data up to date? Now, I know that you have a dream. You want to make an impact. And I want to show you how to make that happen. Here's the truth. Salesforce admins are burnt out, and I don't blame them. Salesforce admins feel overwhelmed and undervalued. Why? Because Salesforce projects are out of control, because people are resistant to change, because the guidance and the suggestions that you give as a Salesforce admin, they fall on deaf ears. User adoption is low. People don't know how to use the most basic native Salesforce features. And that's not the end of the problem. Let's talk about how much this is costing your company right now. By doing absolutely nothing, the more that these issues continue, the more money it's costing your company. Let's talk about lost productivity among the Salesforce support team, the folks who are in IT, engineering, the admins, the developers, the project managers, and the business analysts. So think about, how often do you find yourself going back to revisit business requirements? How about detangling the current Salesforce configuration, which is a big mystery? How about explaining the same things repeatedly to multiple team members? How about trying to update existing configuration with only half-baked business requirements and minimal documentation of process maps? How much is this costing you? So let's try to quantify this. So let's say that you're working at an organization where the Salesforce support team consists of 2 people, not more, just 2 people. And those 2 people are earning approximately $80,000 a year each. And between those 2 people, we are wasting combined between the 2, 10 hours lost per week, which is approximately 5 hours wasted per person per week among two people. That equals about 40 hours lost per month, 500 hours lost per year. 500 hours lost per year is the equivalent of 3 months for one employee. That's the equivalent of $20,000 a year of wasted company resources by doing nothing. You're bleeding this kind of money right now. Now, let's talk a little bit about the folks on the business side, the people who are in sales, they're in marketing, and they're in operations, and all of the time that they are wasting. Let's think about the current Salesforce configuration that results in lost customers, missed deadlines, duplicate data, a confusing user interface, frustrated customers, and angry users. What does that usually result in? Well, when you have a situation like that, inevitably, you're going to have at least one customer that will get lost per year, slip through the cracks. One customer per year, or one lost deal per year. So let's quantify that. How much is that costing you? Well, let's think about if it's a customer. What is the lifetime value of a typical customer? Depending on the organization, depending on the business that you're in, the lifetime value of a typical customer could be anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000 per year. Or let's talk about the size of a typical deal. The size of a typical deal, again, depending on the kind of business that you're in, the industry that you're in, what it is that you're selling, anywhere from, let's say, 50,000 to 200,000. So by doing nothing, how much are you bleeding today on the side of sales, marketing, and operations from one lost deal per year, at the very least, one deal or one customer per year? It's between 50,000 and 500,000 per year that is just disappearing from your company. And now let's talk about the loss of credibility. Because guess what? If we have the situations that I just described, we are also losing credibility with sales, marketing, and our executives at the organization. Because if users are frustrated with Salesforce, they will inevitably rely on spreadsheets and other mechanisms in order to track their data. And by doing that, it devalues the work that we are doing. And then it starts to raise questions about the return on investment of Salesforce within the organization. So what happens when this situation arises? Typically what happens is you have a reduced budget for Salesforce support. You have a reduced headcount for Salesforce support. People start blaming the technology and they start to say, let's find another CRM. Oh yeah, there's this other tool that we used at my other company that worked so much better. And we all know it has nothing to do with the technology. So if we find ourselves in this situation, what can we expect? What is the quantifiable result from this? Well, we're talking about a reduced budget and headcount. That could be anywhere from $80,000 a year to $500,000 a year lost. And the cost to migrate to another CRM, that could be at least $500,000 easily, especially for large organizations with over 100 Salesforce users. It can easily be $500,000 or more to migrate everything over to a new system, to customize the system, and to train everyone on how to use the new system. So altogether, just from these three use cases, we are currently bleeding by doing nothing between $150,000 a year to perhaps even over $1 million per year. And guess what? This situation actually gets worse. So here's the real problem that you're facing. The reason why all of you are watching this video still now at this point, the reason why you haven't just stopped to move on is because you as a Salesforce professional, you can't build a reputation as an innovative problem solver. You can't possibly lead initiatives to improve team productivity and morale if you're experiencing all of the issues that we're talking about. And worst of all, your company is not getting the ROI from Salesforce that they should. But luckily for you, there's now a solution. Introducing Ignite, the ultimate coaching program for Salesforce admins. This is a 12-week group coaching program that starts on October 26th. In this program, you are going to learn how to manage your Salesforce projects on time and on budget. You're going to learn how to gather business requirements efficiently and painlessly. You're going to learn how to keep project scope in control. You're going to learn how to get others to embrace change instead of being resistant to it. You're also going to learn how to position yourself as a leader and a problem solver instead of an order taker. You're going to learn how to communicate effectively in order to get people to listen to you. Now, with this program, it consists of 12 weeks of 1-hour group coaching calls. We're going to meet on Wednesdays from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, starting on October 26th. Recordings will be available in case you missed it, in case you want to watch it again. Transcripts are going to be available, so this way you can search and find whatever it is that you need. We're going to have worksheets and templates to apply what you've learned. We're going to also have an exclusive Slack channel for participants in the coaching program to follow up with questions, to continue the dialogue, to engage in private chatting regarding some company-specific issues. Here's what you can expect through this program. You're going to learn how to manage projects effectively. You're going to save time and money on bought projects. You're going to gain the respect of your peers and your supervisors. You're going to feel confident in your ability to handle any project regardless of size. You're going to feel more in control of your work life. You're going to be able to achieve more with less stress. By now, you're probably asking, who are you and how on earth can you make these claims? Here's why I can make these promises to you. I have spent the past 15 years helping companies to get the most out of Salesforce. I've taught thousands of Salesforce admins how to declutter Salesforce at their companies. I've personally transformed the way Salesforce is used at hundreds of organizations worldwide. Since 2007, I have been either the Salesforce admin or the consultant for companies across many different industries. I've implemented these same strategies at companies of all sizes, from solopreneurs to large enterprise organizations. But don't just take my word for it. Take a look at this. Here is some feedback from students who have taken some of my other courses, sharing how my teachings have helped them transform their career and the way Salesforce is being used at their organizations. Let me tell you about 2 different clients. I'm not going to reveal the company names due to confidentiality. I am not looking to embarrass anyone, especially some of my clients are incredibly large organizations of global logos that are recognized around the world. So the first one is a company that is in B2B financial services. And before they started working with me, they had admins that said yes to everything. Very common. Sounds familiar to you, I'm sure. Yet the admins felt like they were spinning their wheels. The users still hated the system. The users still relied on spreadsheets and not Salesforce, in spite of the fact that the admin said yes to everything and implemented everything that they asked for. Hey, can you put a custom button over here? Can you add another field over here? Guess what happens when you have 4 different fields all on the account screen called industry? It becomes incredibly confusing. Nobody knows which one to use. Nobody knows which one to pull into any report or list view. It's insane. So users just rely on spreadsheets because they don't even know what to trust in Salesforce. No one understood any of the fields or the page layouts. So what did I do? I removed the technical debt. I reframed every single request to frame it around what is the business process? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Forget about having a custom page. Forget about having a custom button. Forget about having another field that's called blah, blah, blah. I don't really give a darn. What is it that you're trying to do at your company? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? So let's reframe every single request into what is the business process around it. I taught them how to leverage native Salesforce features instead of all kinds of customized gobbledygook. And now they rely on Salesforce exclusively. And now let me tell you about a law firm that I worked with. Go figure that. I worked with law firms to set them up in Salesforce. So before they started working with me, they were working with another consulting firm that claimed that they had a lot of expertise in how to set up Salesforce for law firms. And they were trying to implement a brand new Salesforce rollout For nearly 2 years, they were spinning their wheels. The consultant was saying yes to absolutely everything. It felt like nothing was getting accomplished. The users, before going live, they tried to simulate any business process. We're talking about it could be a business process for lead generation, for business development, for converting a lead, for marketing, for putting out a form on a website and it turns into a lead in Salesforce, and capturing all of the materials that they needed, or trying to capture the details about a contact or an opportunity, which in their use case is a legal matter that the law firm is being hired for. They were not able to simulate any process in Salesforce after 2 years of customizations, 2 years of their consultant saying yes to everything. They were not able to do anything in Salesforce. They were not able to go live. The users hated the system. Every time anyone mentioned the word Salesforce in a conversation, like venom was coming out of their mouths. They hated everything about it. They had PTSD. I was sort of like a corporate therapist for them, in addition to being their Salesforce consultant. They wasted a tremendous amount of time and a tremendous amount of money. And I applied the exact same principles. I removed the technical debt. I reframed every request around a business process. I leveraged native Salesforce features wherever possible. And now they not only rely exclusively on Salesforce, they love it. And I'm sorry, if you've ever tried to get a lawyer to love anything about technology, that's as good as a winning lotto ticket. So the same principles that work for both other companies as well as other admins can work for you too, if you know what they are and how to use them. In this coaching program, you are going to learn how to get Salesforce projects under control. So with the Core Ignite program, what you're going to learn is about project management success. You're going to learn how to get your project scope under control. You're going to learn how to gather business requirements without pulling your hair out. You're going to learn how to create process maps easily. You're going to learn how to hold users accountable for all of the requests that they send your way. You're going to learn how to create transparency around your projects. You're going to learn how to build excitement for new enhancements. You're also going to learn how to painlessly train your end users on the new features that are being released. And now you're also going to get these bonuses. The first bonus, user adoption secrets. Within this 12-week program, you're also going to learn how to increase user adoption of Salesforce. You're going to learn how to encourage users to keep Salesforce data up to date quickly. You're going to learn how to minimize renegade spreadsheets throughout your organization. You're going to learn how to gain control over your data and the future of your company. You're going to finally get your team on board with Salesforce. So between the core program and this bonus of user adoption secrets, the total value is $8,990, and all you would pay is $39.95. But then I also have bonus number 2. Change management secrets. With this, you're going to learn how to manage change at work successfully. You're going to learn how to minimize resistance and maximize success. You're going to gain the skills to help your team adapt to changes quickly and smoothly. You're going to become an indispensable leader in your organization. So between the core program and these 2 bonuses, the value is over $11,000, but you're still paying only $39.95. But we also have bonus number 3, declutter your Salesforce. You're going to learn how to identify and eliminate technical debt from Salesforce. I'm going to teach you how to make the system more intuitive and scalable for your team. I'm going to teach you how to remove the unused configuration elements that are causing delays in rolling out new features. I'm going to teach you how to simplify and streamline the screens that business users interact with. You're going to get colleagues on board with simplifying Salesforce instead of adding more clutter to it. So with all of these together, the total value is over $14,000. But then we also have bonus number 4, communication secrets. You're going to learn how to communicate persuasively and clearly. You're going to learn how to position yourself as a thought leader in your organization. You're going to learn how to share your message effectively no matter who you're talking to. You're going to learn how to communicate with confidence and with authority. You're going to learn how to influence people with your ideas and how to change the way you are perceived at work. So with all of these together, the value is over $17,000. And then we have bonus number 5. Ninja apps for admins. You're going to learn how to leverage artificial intelligence to improve presentations, emails, and other content. You're going to learn how to painlessly create training materials for end users. You're going to learn how to easily capture business requirements from meetings and create transcripts and screenshots. You're going to learn how to create powerful visuals to accompany your emails and project updates. I'm going to teach you how to utilize tools for process mapping and online collaboration. You're going to learn how to track project success and open tasks. So with all of these together, the value is over $20,000. And then we have bonus number 6. Yes, you would also get a hoodie. The hoodie is worth $49. My goal with all of this is to not only help your company to get the most out of Salesforce, but to help you reposition yourself and your career within your organization. I don't want you to be perceived as just the person who updates Salesforce. I want you to be perceived as the problem solver who solves problems for individuals and for departments within your organization. So this hoodie says, I don't just update Salesforce, I'm a problem solver. So with all of these together, the value is over $21,000 and it costs $39.95. If you're interested, claim your spot now. Brainiate.info/ignite. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, all of that sounds great, but you know what? I have some pretty unique and somewhat confidential issues going on within my organization. I work for a large enterprise company, a globally recognized logo, and in this group forum, I don't really want to talk about the particulars that I have going on, the senior executives who are very problematic or maybe obnoxious, or the individuals who are very resistant to change and they're big troublemakers for me. So you don't necessarily want to talk about in a public shared forum of the group coaching. And I get that. So for those of you who are interested, I also have this optional add-on where you get one-on-one private coaching, 5 sessions. Each session is 1 hour, scheduled at your convenience. And the value of this is $1,100, but for this add-on, it's only $500 more, and it's optional. It's only if you feel that you need it. So with all of these together and the optional private one-on-one coaching, the value is over $22,000. Add on the $500 add-on, and it's all together $44.95. I really hope you are as excited for this transformation as I am. And I hope that you are ready to get on board with Ignite and to stop the insanity at your organization and to transform the way you are perceived at your organization. So I am looking forward to seeing you in this course. See you soon.